Star Citizen is still currently in Wave 1 of its 3.15 PTU, and we're keenly awaiting wider PTU in the coming days. But we have some big news. Server crash recovery has now been turned on. Cloud Imperium talk about looting players and losing items. Griefing fixes have been made for medical ODing, so overdosing for 3.15. Bam, that's in. And we also have some interesting info about Star Citizen QA tests. Cloud Imperium have disabled medical overdosing in green zones, at least when interacting with other players. You'll still be able to use medical tools and medical items on yourself in green zones. In the future, there will be laws and security to deal with those situations, but less griefing now in-game is the idea here. Server crash recovery is now active in-game for 3.15 on the PTU servers. Cloud Imperium have said, "We have added a crash recovery system so ships that are lost to space after a 30k server crash can be recovered, with cargo and or inventory, fuel and ammo intact. This system works by regular heartbeats, which ping the status of you and your ship every few minutes. If the server crashes, the backend will recognize that and allow you to recover your ship via the ASOP terminal. Client crashes will be handled the same as they were before via crash recovery. Note that it will take up to 10 minutes after a server crash for a ship to become available for respawn on the ASOP terminal. Once on the ASOP, the ship will have the option to be returned to the landing pad in the exact state it was at the last persistence heartbeat. At the moment, it will switch from claim to retrieve once that time has passed. This fix is interim and will be more robust after server meshing, but we would still greatly appreciate your feedback on how it functions and what issues you encounter." So crash recovery is absolutely fantastic and makes cargo hauling or moving your stuff around a much less harrowing experience. It seems largely to be working well as well, with players saying, "Yeah, tried it, everything from local inventory in my ship was there, amazing, thanks for this. Now I need to test to see if it works with and saves damage and wear states. Had a 30k with the Carrack full of armors, weapons and ammo while doing bunker missions, logged back in, could respawn the Carrack with no claim, and all my stuff was in there. Fuel level was also the same. Happened a second time, same result, works perfectly so far." So it does appear to save the state of everything in your ship when it comes to fuel and everything like that. I think it actually does also save the states of wear and tear and all that sort of jazz. So that's actually a pretty good implementation. That said, lots of players are noting lots of 30k errors in the most recent patch now that that's been switched on. And assumedly, that is to test crash recovery. However, that's more of a hope. Hopefully that's because they're testing crash recovery and not a sign of newly added instability. It's also worth noting it is different from reclaiming your ship. You are basically recovering it, and that doesn't cost anything. So when it's a 30k crash, you recover your ship without paying an extra claim sort of thing or waiting more than 10 minutes. It's fantastic. Let's talk about looting of player items. So looting player items will have them in your inventory and usable until you lose them. So you can steal them off other players, bam, bam, bam. The items aren't marked as stolen or anything like that, though. They are just then effectively yours until you lose them. Currently in 3.15, you lose everything on your body when you die. You can go back to try and get to your body to loot it again, though. And they are looking at having a body marker on the UI, potentially at some point, hopefully in 3.15, but it depends if they've got time. There are going to be ways to get your more exclusive and rare items back in the future, but nothing 100% confirmed yet. You can reset your character or wait for the next patch, 3.16 in this case, after 3.15's gone live. If you want your items back, like you've lost your gold suit of armor, you have to wear it. In regards to what some of these solutions might be in the short term, Cloud Imperium have said, "Security and police returning your stolen items to you is just one mechanism and may be used for all high-value items that you register. They're still discussing having an in-game shop where you can repurchase your items if you lose them. Nothing has been set in stone yet, and they are going to be having further internal discussions on the matter. For 3.15, though, you may lose your subscriber and item flare, but that's temporary, as they'll be re-entitled to your account every new patch cycle." In Inside Star Citizen, though, Rich Tyree was talking and said one of the solutions may be that the item is in the future marked as stolen, and if the player that has stolen that item is caught, it will be returned to the rightful owner. The mobbing of players with medical tools on safe zones and stealing their items obviously was really griefy and had a lot of people annoyed when they were like wearing their gold armor. They would just get attacked at those zones, and people want to sort of use that stuff in safer areas now, especially. So now that that's gone, that's good. And now that they're saying, look, you do get your items back, don't worry about it. I do think that's going to have people a lot less anxious. However, people are still not going to want to lose their stuff, and people are still going to want to steal stuff. And it looks like in 3.16 we will be able to sell items such as weapons and looted gear, so it is going to be well worth your while actually looting as much as you can off a player or NPC body, taking it back to your ship and potentially storing it even in 3.15, because if there's not a wipe with 3.16 going live, then you're just about to sell all of that stuff. I really want to know what people's opinions are on this. Like, are you really pro actually losing the stuff, risk and reward, really important? Do you think it's just a bit fiddly and annoying to lose stuff at this stage? Do you hate the idea of losing your FPS items? Do you think it makes for a much better game, a worse game? Do you think it's going to cause a load of griefing? Whatever your thoughts are, just sort of chuck them in the comments below, and we might make some videos based on that and talking about that. Let's talk a bit about local inventory. So the current local inventory is a temporary step towards the full physical inventory system that Cloud Imperium want. The next step is to have armor and suit storage lockers, weapon racks, sort of storage chests, all that sort of stuff. Item volume and dimensions are taken into account for storage. Some items would obviously be foldable or compressible, and that will be taken into account. In the future, when you customize a ship in your hangar, NPCs or machines or whatever will come and actually remove and replace the component or make it look like that. There were some questions on Spectrum as well about Cloud Imperium's QA and procedures. So, Bearded CIG came to answer this. At CIG, we use a combination of QA specialists, live QA, and automation testing, which are things that are commonly used for MMO games. It's been several years since I was in the QA team, so I'm going to describe how these work from a general point of view. QA specialists are testers that are expected to be experts on a specific game system. MMO games tend to be too large to expect everyone on a QA team to understand how all the different systems work, and the expertise that go into testing various aspects of how a game works requires different sets of skills. These specialists are responsible for maintaining communication with developers working on the system that they are specialists for, maintaining documentation for how to correctly test these systems, and communicating with their QA leads so that QA leadership can maintain a good overall idea of the state of the game. The live QA team are firefighters that help to investigate issues that are taking place on builds that have already been published to the public or PTU environment. They keep a close eye on the issue council and any new issues that they aren't aware of, so when they pop up, they can be investigated, reproduced, and tracked. Automation testing is exactly as it sounds. We have systems in place that run scripted tests on the game and report statistics for what the tests ran into. How many hours? That's something that will change from one build to another. The amount of testing that a build needs will vary depending on how many things have been changed and how difficult the issues are to test. I ran into some issues in the past week where it took multiple hours to properly investigate and document a single bug because of how complicated the workflow was for gathering all the needed debug information. I imagine that the QA team still runs into issues like that because Star Citizen is pretty complex. New features that get added to the game go through a lot of testing before they are integrated into the version of the game that is compiled for players. That can take a fair amount of testing depending on the complexity of the feature, number of bugs, and how many iterations the system has gone through before it's in a playable state. So I thought people might want to know about the QA and how that sort of operates in Cloud Imperium at the moment. Obviously, there's a huge amount of QA time that needs to be dedicated to testing various features of the game and the sort of patch releases that we have in our hands as players. And obviously, Ivacadi, sort of quite a light layer of volunteer QA almost. I mean, obviously not as good as an actual QA member on staff by any means, but they are sort of like a level between standard testing and that QA testing. And then when it goes to first wave PTU like it is now, lots more players get it in their hands, but they are effectively doing some QA work here and lots of testing. So I think it's just quite interesting the way this all operates. This week's sneak peek was of the Redeemer and its interior and lighting. We should see the ship in-game in 3.15.1 at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo later in November, I believe, anyway. Something else I want to mention, Test Squadron now has 20,000 members in their Star Citizen org. I mention that because it's the largest org in game, and that's a lot of people. And I do wonder how Cloud Imperium are going to balance org size in the future. Congrats to you guys in Test for being so massive and actually having a stable organizational structure, and to you, Montoya, for being able to be such a beautiful leader boy. Boom! That's it for this week's news and updates. I am very much looking forward to Alpha 3.15 when that goes live. There is a lot of good accessibility and gameplay in this patch, and if it all goes well, then Cloud Imperium deserves some praise for that. But let's see. Let's see if server crash recovery and cargo improvements and all this new FPS gameplay and inventory and medical all work together really well. But what do you think? Have you tried the 3.15 patch since Crash Recovery's been in? Are you looking forward to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo? Are you annoyed that it hasn't gone to a wider PTU, Open PTU Alive yet? Are you worried about losing your items when you die? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Some people say I shill for NordVPN, but listen to some of these comments that I just made up. I've never felt the love of a woman before, but then I got NordVPN, and that didn't matter. Doctor said I'd never walk again, but then I got NordVPN. Now I've been running marathons. Also, I got robot legs around the same time. They might have helped somewhat too. I was a tone-deaf pirate, but after getting NordVPN, I'm able to play the saxophone. Go on, Zin, try and animate all of this. Click the links below to get NordVPN. It might lead you to a more fulfilling life, but more likely, it will just help protect you from the terrors of the internet. What ship are we giving away in October? It is one of the most exciting ships we've given away and one of the most popular. It's the Argo Cargo. So many people liked it, we thought we'd give one away instead of a Mercury Star Runner or a Carrack or something else. You can do fun things like fly around a planet or fly very slowly into the sun. And it also makes my top 16 ships that I liked in the ship showdown this year. Me and Zin are sort of on holiday for a week, so we had to quickly film a ship giveaway, so we do have CitizenCon coming up, and we may have some other things going on the channel that will make it worth your while commenting, so do what you want. I'm not your dad. You should definitely press the join button below my videos, though, and you should certainly like and subscribe and bell bother. Click on the bell. I don't know what it does, but it makes me money somehow. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Thanks very much for watching, though, and I'll see you in the next one.